Egypt's wisdom meets everyone. Edu-Next-AI calls the world to see a future we're building for you and me. Egypt co-codes the future hand in hand. AI at the Nile's edge we stand. From our roots to the stars we soar high. Edu-Next-AI we rise, we try. Learning together bright and free. The Nile carries our destiny. The Nile carries our destiny.
Now, let us continue our journey across borders as we move from France to Caribbean with our next distinguished speaker, Mr. Anthony Kenny Marcus James. Now, we turn our attention from France to the Caribbean to a voice that represents both the classroom and the community. It is my honor to introduce Mr. Anthony Kenny Marcus James. Mr. James is an educator with more than 30 years of service in education. Hailing from the beautiful island of Brenda, he currently serves as the principal of the Brenda Boys Secondary School, the largest secondary school on the island, home to more than 780 young men. Throughout his career, he has worn many hats: teacher of Caribbean history and social studies, vice principal at Rose Modern Secondary School, and former president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. Today, he also serves as the second vice president of Grenada Trades Union Council. With this wealth of experience, Mr. James brings a truly unique lens on one that sees AI not only as a tool for education, but as a bridge to equity, culture, and community transformation. Mr. James, we are delighted to have you. The floor is yours. Thank you, Kenny, for being with us today. Kenny, also one of my friends. Today, I have a lot of friends in this conference. Thank you. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Noah, for having me. And good morning from the Eastern Caribbean. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to us sharing thoughts and ideas on the topic. Grenada is a small island. Dr. Noah, would I be allowed to share my screen that I could pull up the...
I allowed you. Sure.
All right. Good. So Grenada is a small island in the Caribbean. And later on, I'll give you a little geographical context, just in case you're a bit challenged with the geography. But I want to focus on how we have been using AI in this Caribbean small island. And the experiences of my island is basically a microcosm of what happens across the Caribbean. So as I share with you, I would share also on some thoughts and ideas that we have, for example, in islands of Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica. And that's simply because we have the same examination body. So for our objectives for today, and for this short discourse, we want to explore how AI is used in the Grenadian education system and the inputs by government into that AI use. Secondly, we're going to explore some of what is happening in the wider Caribbean through the Caribbean Examination Council, or CXC, as we call it for short. And lastly, we're going to look at some of the challenges, the opportunities, and the lessons that one can learn from what we have been doing in Grenada so far. So where is Grenada? Now, we are called the Isle of Spice, and I've presented here a map of the Caribbean. That's this map on top here. Now, the one here is Grenada. This is my island. This is where I live. It's a tri-island state, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And we're located in this region here, just above Trinidad. So we are actually a dot on the world map. For easier understanding, you would know this is Cuba. This is Central America with Mexico. Venezuela is to our south. And as usual, above Cuba is Miami. So Grenada is roughly 4 hours flight away from the United States. So in terms of proximity, you have some idea. 110,000 people. We've done some great things as a small island. If you follow the Olympics, you may know about Kirani James, the 400-meter runner. In 2012, he won gold. The following Olympics, he won silver. And in his third Olympic Games, he won bronze. So he has had the suite of medals in the 400-meter event. So in addition, we have Lyndon Victor, who is a decathlete, and javelin thrower, Anderson Peters, both holding bronze from the last Olympics. So that's just to give you a little context as to where we are and some of the things that we're doing as a small island. But what are we doing in education and AI? AI is being used currently by some of our teachers for lesson planning. And when you speak with most Grenadian and Caribbean teachers, the lesson planning aspect of their delivery is the most taxing. Why? Because we get a syllabus. A syllabus is provided by CXC, the examination body. But each teacher is expected to break that syllabus down into his scheme of work and also his daily plans for delivering in the classroom. So what has been happening recently with the introduction of AI is that teachers have been using the ChatGPT and Gemini and so on to help generate lesson plans. And from what they get from the AI, they're now making the various tweaks to suit the local conditions and the various requirements that the students need to know for exams. So we have lesson planning, which is very important. We have also improvements in the lesson planning delivery, because now there's access to tools, particularly in teaching modern languages or foreign languages, tools like Duolingo, where foreign languages teachers can utilize in the classroom with the students, and also the students on their own can utilize these AI for their understanding. So in our country and most of the other islands, the Caribbean Examination Council conduct examinations in Spanish and French. So while most of our islands are English-speaking islands, because around us, we have French territories as Martinique, Guadeloupe, even Haiti, and of course, South America and Central America being predominantly Spanish. We offer at our secondary schools both French and Spanish. So this is now a second language for our students, and teachers are using the AI now to help in that delivery. Time management, another important area, particularly since the advent of the pandemic, when teachers started to use things as in Moodle and later on Google Classroom. with the Google Classroom, what has been happening is that teachers have been placing their notes and assignments on Google Classroom that children could work at their own pace. So when you get to class, you focus more on instruction and explaining the various concepts to your students rather than wasting time on note taking and so on, because your notes and your assignment are already on the platform. Another area is as a plagiarism checker. So teachers are actually using AI to determine if students have used AI. I know, for example, at one college in Trinidad, a professor was sharing with me that he got this beautiful assignment from a student. But as he's reading it, he's saying, but the quality of work I know I get from this student is not what I'm seeing. What's happening here? So something told him, listen, plug this thing into the AI. And he plugged it into ChatGPT and it was yes, and asked whether this was generated by ChatGPT. And of course, the answer was yes. So it's being used now as we continue and see increased use of it. Teachers are also using it to determine if the students have plagiarized. An important part of this AI use in Grenada is a recent summer camp that has been sponsored by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, the ECCB, and that's the bank that issue our currency. This camp was held in July and August, earlier this month, for students between the ages of 13 to 18. There were 3 centers across Grenada. As a matter of fact, my school, based on its location, was one of the centers. And in this AI camp, generative AI camp, they were focusing on coding in Python, right? And developing the generative AI models. Coming out of that, students were able to develop their own chatbot type AI. And coming up next week, there'll be some exhibition of what they have created with unique names and tones and purpose and so on. Now, the objective of this is of introducing them to this at the secondary level, is that by the time they get to tertiary level education, they'll be advanced and many of them would be thinking about being actually developers of bots and so on, rather than just being pure consumers of AI, which is, of course, the business part of all of this that we want from them. So this, in a nutshell, is what is happening in my island specifically. The Caribbean Examination Council, however, CXC, which is our examination body. So most of the islands in the English Caribbean, English-speaking Caribbean, closer to the summer, in the months of May and June, our students would sit exams. And these would be exit exams. Exit exams from the primary level, which is called the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, and exit exam from the secondary level, which we call CXC, right? For short. So they have recently approved the use of AI for school-based assessments in next year, God's willing, 2026, what we call the SBA. SBA is basically a project that the student would work on in relation to his particular subject. From that SBA, and from that project, you would get, when it's marked by your teacher, you will get a certain percentage of marks to go into the exam. So whether it's 20% of the overall marks or 30%, depending on the area of study, you will get that. So what CXC has done now as a start is to ensure that they've put in place guidelines that is going to guide students. So that there are guidelines and there's a guide that would help students in completing these SBAs And because they are normally time consuming, it is the hope that AI would help them to advance these assignments, these projects faster, and that more time could be spent on interacting with the content. Right? So this is what the examination body for the region has done recently. This year, they have been, and last year, there were a number of complaints about cheating in the examination, where there was evidence that students were able to use devices to plug in questions to AI and to get answers. So they're trying to ensure that while we embrace AI, that AI is managed by our student body and used correctly. Now, in a state as ours and small island developing states, the input of the government is always important to support any initiative in education. And so in Grenada, for example, last year, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, did indicate that for this year, 2025, the Parliament will be moving towards using AI and AI tools. I've not heard anything about it yet, but the year is still young, so let's see what will happen. In addition, the Citizenship by Investment Program, what we call the Investment Migration Agency. This is where we, as some people would say, we sell passports to investors and so on who want to come in and do massive projects and invest in some areas of development. That agency has introduced an AI assistant called Ari on their platform. Now, what Ari does is to handle any inquiries that would come in to IMA, for example, once the business day ends. And that's done in about 30 different languages. So at any point, any possible investor could log into that site, that platform, and be able to find out what's going on, plug in a question, and get a response. So there's a lot of innovation taking place there. Our Prime Minister in 2023 has actually called for investment by other prime ministers across the region into AI. And during that period also, he was the chairman of the Caribbean community, or what we call for short CARICOM, and launched the Digital Skills and AI Excellence Hub. And here, what he was promoting, what he has promoted, is that there should be some sort of a digital skills fund to look at AI, and also the creation of an AI expert roundtable to ensure that as regional leaders, there's some movement in the area of AI, that as Caribbean islands, we are not only consumers of AI, but that we start to create our own AI tools. So governments across the region are moving to ensure, not just at the education level, but at the governmental level, that AI is incorporated into what's going on. But what are some of the challenges? Grenada, based on our location, we are susceptible to hurricanes almost every year. We're currently in the hurricane season, right? And so this presents a major challenge. In 2024, for example, we had Hurricane Beryl, which devastated our sister isle of Carriacou. Now, today, a year after, schools are back in operation. Things are flowing almost as normal. So we're happy for that. But the climate vulnerability is an issue. The limited resources, because once you have money in an island like ours, you have to think about healthcare. You have to think about other social programs rather than outside of or in addition to education, which sometimes poses a challenge. And then we have the issue of brain drain. Because of our proximity to the United States and Canada, Many of our expert educators from time to time migrate for study and get job opportunities over there and don't return. So that presents a challenge for us going forward and using AI. But what are the opportunities? Opportunities is the agility. Because of our small size, we have fewer schools. And so if you roll out some bit of AI technology, it's easy to use it in all of the schools. So on island, we have 25 secondary schools. But in the vicinity of my school, there are 3 other secondary schools that are nearby. So that gives you an idea as to how we constituted and where we are. In terms of the innovation, already we have students who are involved in robotics and students who are involved in coding. So at my school, for example, the Coding Academy have classes weekly for students of my school and other schools who come to my location for that. We have generally a community of learners where not just students are involved, but schools work well with parents and businesses and so on. So wherever there's some initiative to use AI, we could get some serious movement there, serious buy-in from the community, right? There's the opportunity for smart tutoring, which could be used at the level of the primary exit assessment, where the children can use AI for their practice and so on for questions, and when they make mistakes to guide them with adjustments. And so the opportunity for speech to text and text to speech, because we have some literacy challenges even at the secondary level, where some of our students are not good readers. And using the AI tools, we can get them to improve. And some teachers have begun to use this. So that is a great opportunity for us across the island. The translation and language. Very often you get a student or two coming into the island who is not an English speaker. Because of our closeness to Venezuela, we've seen an increase in the Venezuelans. Internationally, you might be aware of the challenges there between Venezuela and the United States. So there's some people who have family members who sometimes come over, but we're teaching in English. So connecting with them in Spanish sometimes takes a year for them to settle and be able to understand what the teacher is saying. Right? So this is going to help us. Virtual science labs, teacher support, all of these are opportunities that Grenada and other islands have with using AI. What lessons can the world learn from us? What lessons can Egypt learn from us? We are resilient people. We've had a number of hurricanes. As I explained earlier, Hurricane Beryl destroyed Carriacou last year, but the education system is back up and running. So where there's resilience, things can happen. Efficiency, we make the best out of little. I think we're good at doing that because we don't have much financial resources. We don't have gold or diamond or anything like that. Basically, what we have is sea, sun, and people. So whatever we get in terms of computers and devices, and so we make the best of it, right? In addition, we have a nice community spirit that education is a major thing for the community because the human resource of the island is a major resource. Education is important. So secondary education, for example, is universal, so too is primary education. And the government of Grenada is currently paying for students to attend tertiary level education. Whether it's skills training or academic education that they're doing, the government is currently paying for that to ensure that the human resource is developed. And finally, you have the creativity of our young people who are already involved in coding, both at the primary and secondary level in the ICT clubs and so on. So the idea is to open their minds to the opportunities that are available using AI and using the technology. So the conclusion of the matter, as we are aware globally, there's a reliance now on the artificial intelligence, and everything now is moving in that area. It's changing the landscape of work, of education, of everything. And as a small island developing state, we are doing our bit to ensure that we stay ahead, we stay on top of things, and that we present the options in a manageable way to our students. Because mind you, what we've noticed is that these young people are actually the initiators of using the technology. They know about it before we do, and they're using it on us before we recognize that it's being used. So we want to make sure that we are on top of our game, not only in education, but across the board at all societal levels. So this is my bit coming from Grenada and how we use AI here in Grenada.
Thank you very much, Kenny. It was very, very interesting and inspiring conversation. And thank you for showing us how the Caribbean spirit, creativity, and resilience can rise the future of AI in education. Now I will open the floors for my audience because I have a lot of questions, but I don't have a lot of time. So I will give them the chance to ask his questions. And if anyone have any questions, please raise your hand and I will unmute you. So, and yes, we have someone here.
We have Mr. Tamin Mahmoud, Dr. Naha.
Yeah. Riham, could you please unmute him? I can't find him.
Okay.
Yes, Tamer. Okay. Tamer, I try to unmute you, but you refuse. I don't know what's happening. What is happening here?
Yeah, Mr. Tamer, try to unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Yes. Tamer, talk. The floor is yours. Tamer, if you wanted to talk in Arabic and we will translate it, it's okay. So,
We have a question in the chat box, Dr. Naha.
Okay, yes. Please tell us the question.
How do you support students whose native language is not English, and what AI tools are you using? Thank you.
Currently, what we try to do is to utilize the foreign languages teachers to assist, particularly when we create the assessment for these students. We get, whether it's a Spanish teacher, to maybe do the exam, construct the exam in Spanish for them, or to ask them to do their responses in Spanish, because many of them understand English, but just can't respond in writing the English. So sometimes they would write in their native language, and we get some of the teachers to look at that and to grade these assessments. Currently, there's efforts to use AI, Duolingo, to assist in that area, right? That they can speak and it's translated and so on. There's some teachers who are experimenting with that aspect currently.
Kenny, you have to promise that you will give us another session, as I have a lot of questions and my attendees have a lot of questions as well, and we have no time. So we have a separate, we want to have a separate session with you, as you know.
That's not a problem, Dr. Noah. I'm always available, and this kind of time is good because it's this is my first session for the morning. So I woke up with you to deliver with you guys, and this is excellent.
Yeah, yes. So I'm very happy to have you today. It's such a great honor and a privilege, my dear friend and brother. Thank you for being with us today.
Waves shine in the morning sun. Egypt's wisdom meets everyone. Edu-Next-AI calls the world to see a future we're building for you and me. Egypt co-codes the future hand in hand. AI at the Nile's edge we stand. From our roots to the stars we soar high. Edu-Next-AI we rise, we try, learning together bright and free. The Nile carries our destiny. The Nile carries our destiny.